Hello, everyone. I wanted to make some quick videos about some homework 5 topics that we weren't able to get to in class. This video will be on evaluating piecewise functions. So again, piecewise functions are these big guys down here. I like to call them Frankenstein functions. It pieces together different sections of different graphs and takes different pieces from each graph and then sews them all together in a giant Frankenstein monster graph. Um, Now, we won't be graphing these this time. This is about evaluating them. So if we're given an x value, how do we know which function to plug it into? The good news here is that we're only going to be dealing with one piece at a time. Um, so in order to evaluate a piecewise function, because they include multiple functions, the very first thing that we have to do is identify the correct function to use based on the given value of x. We'll go over that in just a minute exactly how to do that, but the x value that you're given is going to be your indicator of which function to use. And then once you've identified the correct function to use, the second thing you're going to do is plug in the given value of x into the correct function. Okay, so we've got a couple of functions down here. Let's start with 1 through 4. Each of these works with the function f. So we'll be looking at the function f of x right here. So let's start with number 1. We want to evaluate f of -2. This says that our x value is -2. So if our x value is -2, we're going to come to these domain sections and we're going to figure out which of these domain sections does x equals -2 make true when x is 2. So if we look at our first one here, if x is -2, is -2 less than -2? The answer is no, that's not true when x is -2. Okay, so let's look at the next one. If x here is -2, is -2 less than or equal to -2? Because this includes the equal to here, the answer is yes. This one is the one that we want. Okay, so now we know that the function that we're going to use is this middle one, which is x squared minus 9. That's our correct function. And then don't forget to plug your x value into your function. So when we plug that in, we'll get -2 squared minus 9. When we evaluate that, -2 squared is a +4 minus 9. That gives us an overall value of -5 as the function value of -2. Again, just got to pick your function and then plug it in. So let's look at number 2. So we have to figure out which function to use to evaluate f of 0. Okay, so this function notation says that our input, which is x, is equal to 0 here. So if x equals 0, we're going to go through these and see which one x equals 0 makes true. Is 0 less than -2? No, 0 is not less than -2. Let's move to the next one. Is 0 greater than or equal to -2 and less than 2? Yes, 0 is between -2 and 2, so this one works. So again, the correct function to use here is x squared minus 9. And once we've identified that function, don't forget to plug in your x value of 0. So we'll have 0 squared minus 9. That's 0 minus 9, which is just -9. Okay, moving on to number 3 here. Our given value of x is -4. So we're going to come through here and we're going to one by one figure out which function to use. If x is -4, is -4 less than -2? Yes, -4 is less than -2. So in this case, we're going to use that top function of x plus 7. This is the correct function to use for x equals -4. And then just don't forget to plug in your value of -4 into the correct function. So we'll have -4 plus 7, which gives us a value of 3 for our function value of -4. Okay, and the next one, number 4, f of 4. This says our x value is 4. So we'll go through these. Is 4 less than -2? No, it's not. Is 4 greater than or equal to -2 and less than 2? No, it's not between -2 and 2. And so we'll look at the last one here. Is 4 greater than or equal to 2? Yes, 4 is greater than or equal to 2, which means the function that we need is the square root of x minus 2. And then don't forget to plug in your x value of 4. We'll have the square root of 4 minus 2. That's the square root of 2. That's as simple as we go. That's the function value for f of 4. All right, let's try these next few as well. So number 5, now we're looking at the function g. So we're going to switch over to this function over here. But again, to figure out which function to use in g, we need to look at the given x value. So here, the x value that we're given is 0. So we're going to look through and see which one works if x equals 0. So in this top one, is 0 less than or equal to 0? Yes, because this contains an equal to here, that's the one that works. So we're going to use the function, the absolute value of x plus 2. And don't forget to plug in your value of 0 here for x. The absolute value of 0 plus 2 is the absolute value of 2. This means how far away from 0 is 2, and the answer is 2 units. So g of 0 is 2. Okay, how about g of 7? This says we have an x value of 7. Is 7 less than or equal to 0? No, that's not true. How about this one? Is 7 greater than 0? The answer is yes, this is the function we're going to use. So we'll use 5x minus 3, and don't forget to plug in x equals 7. So the value here is 35 minus 3, which is 32. And the last one, g of -3, this says our x value is -3. So we're going to come back up here and figure out which one's true. Is -3 less than or equal to 0? Yep, it sure is. So we are using the function x plus 2, or the absolute value of x plus 2, sorry. And then don't forget to plug in your x value of -3. So overall here we have the absolute value of -3 plus 2. It's the absolute value of -1, which is how far away from 0 is -1, and the answer is 1 unit away. So g of -3 is 1. So that is how we evaluate piecewise functions. The first thing you need to do is use your given value of x to identify the correct function, and then don't forget to plug in your value of x into the correct function. The biggest mistake that most students make on these is that you try to plug in your x value to multiple functions, or you try to use the output of the function, like you plug in negative, or you plug in whatever x value you're given into all three functions, and then try to compare your output to your domain, but that's not the same thing. You're going to use the X values that you're given, and you're going to use these to look at your X values to decide which function to use. Um, so hopefully that is helpful for you. That's how we evaluate piecewise functions, and I will see you next time.